Hey there, Saber fans, Shamim here. It is Graflex time once again, and today we're going to be looking at a Graflex hilt made by 89Sabers. This is different from the Graflex 2.0, 2.5, 3.0 that's made by Parks and by Corbanth. Different from the one sold by Roman Props, different from the Graflex shop. So this is its own thing with a different finish, different grips and greeblies, different very different internal assembly. So I'll go ahead and do a review on this version of the Graflex as made by 89Sabers. Talk about the things that I like and don't like about it, and compare it with some of the other versions of the Graflex out there, and then just show off the electronics that I've installed. So first thing I noticed when I got it is that the finish on the clamp is noticeably different from the finish on the rest of the hilt. It is a much more satin finish than the brushed kind of nickel-plated looking finish on the top and the bottom of the flash gun. And this can be a bit off-putting. I don't know how well it's coming off on camera, but in person it's very, very noticeable. Luckily, though, it is not a threaded hilt. It is assembled like a vintage in that it has the J-lock system. So if you don't like the finish on this clamp, you can easily swap it out for any of the clamps made by Roman Props or by the Graflex shop or any other manufacturer of clamps that have the little four nubs inside the clamp so that it can lock into the J-lock mechanism. And then you can match it to whatever other kind of finish that you want. It's much heavier. I don't know, much heavier, but it is noticeably heavier than some of the other Graflex replicas out there. So that's either a pro or a con for some, depending on what they personally like. There are no grip guides. There's no pre-drilled holes. These rivets just stick into the actual grip itself, so they don't pass into the bottom of the hilt. So you're going to need some kind of 3D printed guide or print your own guide on paper and wrap it around the hilt to know where to get the alignment and where to attach the grips. They come with a adhesive tape on the back. They are rubber, and so they do smell, as rubber tends to do. So just be aware of that if your sense of smell is very sensitive. It's not overpoweringly strong, but it is certainly noticeable when you give a whiff near the hilt. Bottom of the pommel and the kobold ring are both very, very shiny compared to the more matte brushed finish of the rest of the hilt. It is designed to accept a 1-inch blade, whereas the Graflex 2.0, 2.5 from Parks and Corbanth was designed for a 7/8 inch thinner blade, which could then be modded if you went out and bought the $60 blade holder to convert it to a 1-inch. This one comes stock with 1-inch, and that's the only way that it's available. There is a lot of room inside this hilt for electronics. Just in terms of the chassis that I myself did, you open up the clamp, give it a twist. So it comes, the hilt comes with this machined outer chassis, as it were, and then the inside diameter is just over 1 1/8, so it's about the size of Saberforge chassis. Those fit right inside the outer chassis here, which screws into the top half. So if we keep pulling that off, this silver bit screws into a black internal blade holder there that you can see that runs the length of the upper portion. So what you can do is unscrew that little screw there, unscrew that little screw there, and then you can pull your chassis out, access your SD card, plug it in to charge, plug it into the recharge port, and then when you're done, slide it back in. There's plenty of space, as I mentioned, and so there's no worry of the speaker. Like, that's about as far as it will sit, and you can still see that there's a good 3/4 of an inch of space in between the bottom of the pommel and the speaker face. So that's good. You don't want your speaker to be hitting up against the side of or against the face of the pommel. the bottom of the pommel. I replaced on this build the glass eye that comes with the kit with a Graflex shop dark thumb screw that I've turned down to match Last Jedi and Force Awakens. I've also modded the clamp just to have a little bit of black or a darker toned PCB next to the gold fingers. What are those called? The strips. I don't know what the technical term is, but I like the notion of black and brass. You see that, you know, black and brass, and so I wanted just a little bit more black and brass here to match the rest of the hilt. It's a very beautiful aesthetic to have silver and black with hints of brass. One cool thing about the blade plug on the 89Sabers version is that it is a functional spring mechanism in there, so it's not a static blade plug. That's a really, really cool feature. I like that a lot. I shaved down this slotted screw up here. It comes long enough to serve as blade retention, but it sticks out like that much. So I shaved it down so that it could, you know, sit relatively flush, but still have enough thread length to function as blade retention. Your bunny ears move. The very bottom of the on the top, it's not a you know, a hex screw or anything. It's a flat rivet style, but on the very bottom of the screw that goes through the bunny ears, there is a slot. So you remove the red button and then go in with a screwdriver, a slotted screwdriver, to basically thread the screw through the bunny ears and make it tight. So that's an ingenious system that I really, really like, because on the outside it looks, you know, vintagey with a, you don't have a screw head up there. It's just a flat screw or a flat rivet like thing. Speaking of genius design elements, the auxiliary switch here is this side tab. The red button functions as your main activation, but the side tab actually works. Internally, there's a mechanism with a long plunger on a spring, and when you press or when you pull the slide tab down, when you slide the side tab down, say that 5 times fast. There's a basin here in the blade holder where a switch is, so the plunger, you know, goes down when you pull the side tab, and it presses the switch, activating your auxiliary. So that's a really cool feature. Let's go ahead and get her fired up. It's a Prizm5.1 install with a royal blue white Tri-Cree XP 2 LED, 28mm high bass speaker with a 18650 lithium-ion battery, and internal recharge board, as I've said. So let's go ahead and fire it up.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
Classic A New Hope style sound font. There's your white flash on clash. So you can pull this guy down. And that activates your auxiliary, which is really cool. Let's change some of the colors. Oh, it's one of those. God dang it. I replaced the color file with one of the swings and forgot that there's a long stretch of time of hum after the swing. So you can see it's slowly changing to a white now. There we go. I'm gonna have to change that on the SD card. I don't like the color sound effect that comes with the Graflex 4 sound font. It's this annoying beep 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 beep, and it's really loud and obnoxious. Sorry, Quansith, but it is. So I usually replace it with a swing file, and I forgot to replace it with the particular swing that I've shortened the hum at the end to make it, you know, flow better. Anyway, next font.
I'm not afraid. You will be. You will be.
The pommel comes pre-vented with sound holes underneath the kobold ring, as well as screw holes for both A New Hope and the kobold style D-rings, which is very convenient. I love it. I love it so much. Continuing on.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
You're gonna die is what you're gonna do. I can start hearing the crackle. I haven't charged this battery yet. Yep, there, you can start to hear it. You can hear it as the flash on flash comes on. There it goes. So just charge that battery and the crackle will go away. Let's throw a blade in there. So as I mentioned, the slotted screw up here serves as blade retention. Loosen that guy. Give the bunny ears a pinch. Let's see. Oh, it's a little too tight still. Out you come. Okay, what's wrong with you? Oh, don't tell me the thumb screw is. I didn't shave down the thumb screw enough. That's what it is. And now my hands are all sweaty. And I won't be able to get the thumb screw off. That's just great. And that's what happens when you don't rehearse before recording a video. So, got a rubber glove. There we go. Loosen the thumb screw. And out slides your blade plug. Now clearly, I have to shave down the threads on the thumb screw just a bit more before it's 100% ready to go. Pinch your bunny ears, slide your blade in, and retighten. Oops, come here, you. So yeah. I don't know, what would I give it out of 10? I think out of the box, maybe it's because I'm so used to the Graflex 2.0 and the 2.5. I've done dozens and dozens of them over the last few years. It took me quite a while to figure out the internal assembly of the 89Sabers version Graflex, but once I've figured it out, I think I really do like a lot of the elements of this particular version of the Graflex. I like that the switch comes pre-installed in the red button. I like that this whole assembly here comes, for the side tab, comes pre-installed. I like that the I like that it's an accurate bottom with no additional sound venting, so it looks accurate, but then it is vented underneath the Kobold D-ring. I don't like the clamp, like, at all, but I like how much space and how much room there is inside for a variety of different kinds of chassis, I'm sure. It's a relatively newer hilt, so I don't know that there's a ton of different chassis options out there, but I was pleased to learn, very pleased to learn, that the Saberforge chassis, you know, any kind of 1.1 inch chassis will fit inside. Let's just go ahead and pull the chassis out real quick and show that off. So there's 2 retention screws here that I'm going to loosen up a bit. There you go. There's your soundboard. There's easy access to your SD card. There's your recharge port, your battery, and the bottom of the SD card, or the bottom of the recharge port. Then push it back in. That's as far in as this particular chassis goes. I could have cut it down a bit, or it could have gotten a chassis that, you know, lines up and fits properly. But as I said again, there is plenty of space still, all that room left. This is where the J-lock is. So you still have all that room for your speaker. So then I line it up with flat parts of the chassis. Tighten one a little bit, and then tighten the other one until you're all set to go. So, of course, with the J-lock configuration, you can easily switch between the different orientations, either A New Hope or everything else, because A New Hope is one direction on the clamp, and every other version of the Graflex is a different way on the clamp. And if you have multiple bottoms, then you can swap out for the 7 grip A New Hope style, or the 6 grip everything else style. And then, of course, you can also swap out a bubble strip for the circuit card that's there, and you can swap it out with any other kind of circuit card that you might like. The good part about having both of your switches up here in the blade is that it allows you to manipulate the clamp, swap the clamp, do all of that even after the Saber has been installed. And while I'm generally a clamp guy, I wanted to try out and take advantage of this ingenious auxiliary switch up here.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
I really wanted to try that out, so that was a fun build. It was a fun build. It was a challenging build, but I've installed it. Now I know what works and what doesn't work, and future 89Saber Graflex builds will take into account the learning that I've acquired doing this this particular install. Overall, I think 8 out of 10. 7.5, 8 out of 10. The clamp is just dreadful. And again, part of my hesitation on giving it a higher score is not only the clamp, but also the just getting used to the different assembly. I really had to relearn how to do everything, and so I think now that I've learned it, I do a few more, the score will go up. It'll be easier to install and won't be as daunting a challenge. But yeah, no, overall I like it. I like the rubber grips. I've only been playing around with it for a few hours, but the adhesive on the back seems to be holding up really well, so that's a good thing. I love the D-ring jangle. I love your bunny ear jangle. It's really, really ingenious with the slotted screw on the bottom of the rivet screw up top. You've got kind of an accurate profile here with the bunny ears, or with the, what is this, the beer tab. God, all these part names. This is kind of crazy. What else do I want to talk about? I really hate the clamp, but luckily it's one of the easiest parts to swap out. So yeah, I mean, it comes with grips for both, for all the different versions. So if you want A New Hope, it comes with those grips. If you want Empire, Last Jedi, Force Awakens, it comes with those grips. It comes with an extra red button up here in case you want to do Empire. Both of the red buttons are have switches. So I think I'd have to double check the internal blade holder, but I think that you'd be able to. Let's see if the channel runs all the way down. No, I don't see a channel. So I don't think you'd be able to have your front button also function as a also function as a switch. But maybe I imagine that you could just, you know, mill out a little channel for the wires to go from there down to where the rest of the electronics are, and then you could have front and back red buttons. That, of course, would not allow you to easily swap out between the different versions if you've got two wired switches up there. I think I've ranted long enough on this hilt. I'm not familiar enough with vintage Graflex proportions and dimensions to be able to say how close the S-curve is, or how good the bottom stamping is, or how the X is shaped in the word Graflex. I know that there are people who can do that. I'm not yet to that point. As much as I love Graflexes, I'm not as well versed in all of those details as I hope to be one day. But to my eye, it's relatively accurate. I think compared to the Parks version, even the 2.5, it's more accurate out of the box than the Parks version, and I would say it's less accurate than the Roman props and the Graflex shop versions. But it comes empty with a lot of the greeblies included at a very affordable and reasonable price. Of course, you'd probably have to swap out the clamp because I hate it. But for some people, the finish might not bother them as much as it bothers me. So they might not have to replace the clamp. But it's a very, very affordable option. Just one note that many of you know, currently 89Sabers has a bit of a reputation for taking a very, very long time to fulfill orders, and also has a bit of a reputation for poor communication, especially as it relates to accurate shipping time information. So for that reason, if you're planning on getting an 89Sabers Graflex, I strongly recommend getting one from one of his retailers. I believe KR Sabers in the UK and Saber Bay here in the United States are both retailers of several of 89Sabers hilts, I believe, including the Graflex. So if you want to try out a different version of the Graflex and see how it compares to some of the other options that are currently out there, you can go through one of those retailers, which provide far superior customer service and shipping times. Those get sent out in a couple days. So that's really nice to have those retailers. They are a bit more expensive, but for a lot of people, having the assurance of good customer service and fast shipping times is worth an extra $20 to $50, whatever it happens to be, as opposed to going directly through 89Sabers. As I understand it, he's hiring more people, both for machining and for customer service, and hopefully fixing some of the problems that he has. So time will tell how that all goes. But in the meantime, this is the 89Sabers Graflex. I'm going to try to keep this in my personal collection, but Bill's hit and the Graflexes are usually the first to go because I just have so many of them. So I can always install another Graflex. I've got boxes full of Graflexes, empty Graflexes that I'm saving for rainy days, and hopefully one of them will be able to stay on my shelf for some time, because y'all know how much I love Graflexes. All right, I've ranted quite long enough on this guy. We'll just leave it there and leave it at that. And I will say thank you all so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.